Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
Oh yes, this is Cross Politics. It's Monday evening. We have breaking news.
No, we don't.
Sort of.
It's kind of broke already.
It broke. Last
Everything
week,
broke.
Dan Bongino's out at Fox. Then today, Don Lemon. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I don't even know what color he is.
Why do-
I don't even know what
nobody's-
race he is.
What
Get to the main
ethnicity is
point.
he?
And, Don Lemon's out at CNN. Or was he at CNN? He's MSC.
It's CNN.
Yeah, CNN. And then Tucker Carlson
Yeah.
is out
Hey,
at Fox.
Yes. And also, Gabe, we were going to tell you, you're out.
Yeah, and
Cross
you're done.
Politics.
Today's your
You're
last
gone.
show.
Fired.
No,
You didn't even know it.
I'm worth hundreds of dollars to the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Welcome to Cross
dimes.
Politics.
Hundreds
That's
of
Toby Chuck
dimes.
Knox. I'm the water boy. It's good to be with you. And we got to add about our magazine
Yeah.
that Toby's going to read
We're
right
on a
now.
mission to make
Yeah.
magazines great again.
Great again.
Yeah, so subscribe to our Fight Laugh Feast magazine. It's a quarterly mini book-like experience packed full of a variety of authors, includes theologically driven cultural commentary, a psalm of the quarter, recipes for feasting, laughter sprinkled throughout the glossy page.
So
We
good.
just sprinkle laughter, just
Yep.
sprinkle it all.
Like Tucker.
And more. Sign up your church, sign up your grumpy uncle, and while you're at it, sign up Elon Musk and Russell Moore. Disclaimer. This magazine will guarantee various responses, and Cross Politics is not held liable for any of them.
No.
No liability at all. Reading the whole magazine may cause theological maturation, possibly encourage your kids to take the Lord's Supper with you, and will likely cause you to randomly chuckle and enjoy at God's wondrous world. In addition to all of the above, if you're a Platinum Club member, you get a magazine subscription for free.
Free now.
So if you're not a club member yet, sign up today. 4 issues, just $60 per year. Unless, again, you're a Platinum Club member, then you get it. Go to fightlaughfeast.com right now and subscribe.
I mean, you should already be subscribed to a club membership anyway. But that's for another time. So Tucker Carlson is out at Fox. Fox actually has a statement. So Tucker Carlson makes about $35 million a year from Fox.
Yeah.
And Fox released this half a paragraph, basically.
That's
Fox
not-
News.
It's hardly a
No,
sentence.
Hardly a sentence.
No.
And they talk mostly about themselves. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. Agreed? We thank him for his services to the network and as a host, and prior to that, as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st.
Yeah. That was Friday.
That was like, yeah.
Notice this is
Today's
being
Monday,
released on the 24th.
Friday. Yeah. Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 p.m. starting this evening as an interim show helmed by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host
And
is
host
named.
things, Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking they were gonna, maybe Hunter Biden might be a good one.
Don don't have a job.
Don
maybe.
don't have a job. You get him on.
He's a good option here.
Yeah, what's another good one? I mean, they called me and I turned it down.
So what's crazy?
Because maybe I should have taken it because I still thought I had a job.
Hey,
No,
bro, listen,
sorry,
Gabe.
man.
You should
That
have
was your
taken it.
chance.
Gabe,
That was your chance.
If they would have offered you $10 million a year, I'm telling you to take it.
Take it,
Okay?
take it.
Please go and get us that bag.
Help
all right?
us, help us.
Please do. So what was funny was I watched Tucker's show Friday.
I saw it. I didn't
Did you
watch.
see
I
that?
didn't watch it Friday, but
Is he the
somebody
pizza guy?
somebody shared the last few minutes of his last show and said, "This is how Tucker ends on Fox."
And so what was crazy was that there's a pizza guy. I don't know, he went viral.
Yeah.
Right. He stopped a criminal who was running from the police while he was delivering pizza at a house.
Yeah.
The dude was so concerned about his car. Like, not the fact the police are chasing the guy. He yells, "Don't hit my car, dude!" And that's all he can think about while he's delivering pizza.
Yeah.
It trips the guy.
I mean, he's a delivery man.
And
That's like
he
that.
needs
The car
his
is
vehicle.
special.
He needs his car.
Yeah. And so He trips the guy, makes national news,
Yeah.
gets on Tucker's show,
Yeah.
and Tucker says, "Hey, I'll see you guys Monday."
Yeah.
So
And
I don't think Tucker knew
No,
that Friday was going to be his last day.
sure doesn't seem that way.
And I don't. And you were talking about this earlier, the whole kind of Dominion lawsuit.
Yeah, so Fox just lost, or
They settled.
or made a settlement. Yeah, with Dominion.
I guess you can consider that a loss.
The voting machines. I mean, what to the tune of
$700 and almost $800
million.
$800 million.
Yeah. And so one question I had was just simply whether there was a financial thing going on here where can they afford Tucker?
So here's how I think about this. If it was a financial thing, you know what you don't do? Get rid of the guy who makes you the most money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get rid of LeBron. Lakers are
like,
hurting.
the
Let's
Lakers
get
are
rid of
hurting.
LeBron.
Unless
Shoot.
LeBron is
Yeah.
going to somehow cripple us
Yeah.
in some way. Tucker, this is
Well,
what's
is it a combination? I mean, I guess maybe that's part of it.
But what if you're Aaron Rodgers and we're sending you to the Jets?
But hold on, Tucker.
Which is what happened. He went to Jets.
Now you just spoiled it. More breaking news in case you didn't know.
Aaron Rodgers got traded to the Jets. First on Cross Politics.
We're just dropping all the balls here today. You don't get, what's Tucker, $35 million a year?
That's what he just said.
I mean, come on now. How much does he make you? Forget how much it costs to have him. He is the number one provider inside of your Fox Nation app of content. Nobody makes more Fox Nation content than Tucker Carlson.
Okay.
So while he might be a huge expense, he's making you a boatload of money. What you don't do is get rid of him. Now, Dan Bongino, I don't know, what's going on with there. I still don't know what's going on with Tucker.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Right.
Here's a couple things I could think about. Tucker isn't a financial strain for them. He's not.
Okay.
He's not.
Okay.
But he might be a social strain for them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the January 6th stuff.
you got
That,
January.
Like Fox, I heard word on the street was Fox told him to stop talking about January 6th.
Well, yeah.
So he had done a couple shows, and then Fox
I guess
stop.
I just want to interject a little bit on the social thing.
Yeah.
But there is a financial component to that.
Social capital. Sure.
No. But there's a financial component to that.
You mean
Yeah,
you
but
don't,
it's like
you don't get invited to certain dinners? Maybe
Yeah.
you get locked out of certain places.
And there's certain donors and there's certain companies that will or will not advertise with
Soros
you.
won't give you no more money.
Dylan Mulvaney, that's going to replace him.
No,
There we go.
I don't think that's happening.
They called up the
social capital.
the Bud Light PR
Yeah.
crew, and they're like, "Hey, we've got a
You need
situation."
Dylan. We got an ace card for you.
They're like,
Dylan.
we're sorry, we just let go of the person who did the Dylan Mulvaney thing.
Have any dudes in dresses?
No, I think the social thing might be an issue. I think there's financial to that.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
sure it has some implications
I
there.
mean, why have so many big companies? Why have they shot them? I mean, why did Bud Light do the thing?
I think, I got a couple reasons for that.
Okay.
If you listen to the marketing agent person, the person who they recently released, she said that Bud Light is losing its generational growth. They don't have a way to move forward without being sleazy, right? Imagine.
Did you just hear what you said?
I know. All right. Wait.
You do not pass go.
They didn't know how to get out of the imaging of a drunk college dude taking their beer.
Yeah.
Now, they never looked at their product and say, how do we make a better product? Because why is it that young college drunk guys want our stuff?
right.
Oh, it's cheap, easy to get access to. And, they didn't think about that.
Right.
The way that this marketing person thought about it was, hey, we have a great product already. How do we then make it? How do we advance it so that we have different generations, culturally advancement, broad approach, a broad likeness to
So they picked
to our company.
0.01% of the population
So
to
they
represent them.
so
Yeah, let's go broad.
Because-
Here, put on
No,
beer
no, it
goggles
was-
and watch this ad.
But what they thought it meant, though, that is if we can include these folks, then we can include everybody else. That was a calculation they messed up on.
Right.
And I think they wanted to push like a Disney. They think that they can be Disney. Right, Bud thought they could be Disney. Right, she was thinking, hey, if we include these people inside and we queer this thing up a little bit, everybody will come and say, well, let's all just drink beer now.
Yeah.
Miscalculation. I don't think that's what Fox is doing here. I do think though that as I was calculating this, it's like, okay, everybody's asking where does Tucker go right now? That's a big conversation. Where does Tucker go to? And
By the end of the show, I have a proposal, and you got to stick around for it.
More breaking news.
Yeah.
I started to look at this, and I don't know if you guys remember the Napster moment in music. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah, I downloaded a lot of good music from that. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I don't know this man. He's done after the show too, by the way.
I mean, it was all dial-up, so it took a minute, but
I
That's
think
true.
I think this is Fox or large institutions. I think this is their Napster moment. But first, let me say this. Before Napster happened, you had technology growth inside of music where you had big studios were the only place that you can go to get music recorded that was good. If you want high-level music, you could only get it at a studio, and the only people who could really afford studio time were big record companies, right? And so you didn't get inside of these records. So if you were a good, talented singer, you had to do something at a high level to get
their
on
attention.
To get the attention so they could buy studio time for you so you could work in the studio. I tried buying studio time, $250 an hour, and then you're trying to be creative at the same time. That's an expensive day to walk away with no music. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So you had to have a record company to get in there to pay for it. Well, technology started changing the game where, hold on, a laptop and a microphone, I can record my own stuff. Well, now I just got to learn how to mix. Oh, I could put my own music out. Now, where do I put it out at? Well, you still had to go through the big institutions to get your music out. Here comes Napster. Napster comes in and says, we can download all the music you want, anywhere you want.
It's file sharing. Okay.
And without paying for it. You had LimeWire too. Kids are like, what is Napster and LimeWire? Ask your parents
file
about
sharing.
So, but what happened was all of a sudden institutions didn't need to be there for you to get your music. You didn't need a store. You didn't need a record label. Yeah. You could even get leaked music before it ever got to the label.
Right.
Artists start putting out stuff on Napster that they never had to go through their record label for. The record labels weren't putting out.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, the institution wasn't the thing that people needed anymore in order to be able to grow. Yeah. The artist was enough so long as they had access to the people. Right. Fox, I think, is making the mistake that this has never been done before. Never been done. You have not had. Look at Bill O'Reilly.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Look at Bill O'Reilly. Right, that was for better or worse in the news talk business. There wasn't anybody bigger outside of Rush Limbaugh. Right. Bill wasn't let go until he was tired, old, and played, and they wanted to put somebody else in. He
had a little scandal.
Sure, but he was still not at the top of his game even when that scandal went down. Yeah. He didn't get no scandal in the middle where he's like peaking, and he was still an old white guy, right? And he was the one who was where you went for news. He was. Yeah. If you wanted something even and fair and balanced.
But Tucker's still here.
Tucker is in the peak performance.
As far as we know, we don't even know if he's peaked yet.
I don't even. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right?
That's true.
Like he's still going up.
He's still going up. You don't cut off somebody who's just still shining as bright as possible, right? And we don't even know if he's peaked yet.
Right. And as far as we know, he hasn't had a scandal.
Right.
Like that's I mean, at least he had a scandal. He might have some sort of argument.
There's going to be something, I'm sure. They're going to come up with something.
Right.
And so the institution is thinking to itself, okay, we got to figure out how to cut because this is a brand thing. Tucker has become bigger than Fox.
Oh, that's true.
Right? This is a brand thing. Yeah. And so they got to figure out if we're going to continue to ride this train wherever he's going, or are we going to try and rebrand ourselves for what we are? We better figure out how to do it now before it becomes too powerful. And so
it's too late.
Well, that's what they don't. This is the problem. It's an Napster. They don't think so. They still think that they're powerful.
Right.
And Tucker now is wherever Tucker goes, that's where everybody else is going to go. Everybody was watching Fox for Tucker.
Right.
I mean, I like some of the, what's her name that comes on after Tucker?
Laura Ingraham.
You don't even know her name.
Ingram. Laura Ingraham. I not like Tucker. And I watched some of the other shows on there. Gutfield was the only one that was most interesting outside of Tucker. But none of them have the appeal. And when you have a Napster moment, you have to figure out, wait a second, the people are demanding and have access to information that they never had before. We have never been in a time where you have Daily Wire kind of content that's exploding out there, Blaze, and then thousands of other podcasts that get it right, that can see, right? It's always been a controlled system and institution. Now the institution is going to have to figure out how to rebrand, and they think they can do it. They can't without Tucker.
Right. They're
not big enough in and of themselves.
Just so everybody's following. So what you're saying though is like the old school institutional recording records and studios.
Yep.
The old school news networks
are having their moment.
They're having their moment. because of iPhones, because of podcasting,
Right.
Basically
The internet.
Yeah, the internet.
Yeah.
Anybody and everybody can be their own. They can be their own news studio.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
And I'm just so it's gone. But when you get people go now, like you were saying, like with Napster, it doesn't matter what the label is.
That's right.
What they care about is the personality. What they care about is the person who's delivering the message. And so by releasing Tucker, they've just opened Pandora's box.
Remember, they're the last stands. They're the last main institution holding together for news. ABC, NBC, CNN, not trusted sources. Don't get the views, right? Tucker's getting somewhere with 3 and 5 million people watching every night.
Per night.
Right?
Well,
every night.
And to bring in the other side of this analogy, you have, I like to use the yellow cab Uber situation to describe this. So yellow cab for decades owned the market.
Yeah.
They had all the unions. They had all the relationships. They had all the airport relationships, all that stuff.
Monopoly.
And they had the monopoly.
Right.
And then in the yellow cab experience, I remember I started traveling for work really back in about 2005, 2006, before Uber really landed. And the yellow cab experience wasn't good.
Right. No, it wasn't.
You didn't get water when you got in the vehicle. The vehicle was often not very clean.
Prices weren't
I
consistent.
had multiple experiences where the driver was a little smelly. And then and that's why they always ride with the windows down. And then Uber came. And what Uber was able to do is they just took technology and applied it to kind of a dinosaur industry, and then made it more efficient and more rewarding. And so it became a better experience. But it also became a I wouldn't say cheaper experience, but the money was a lot more valuable that you gave it, more consistent, right? Yeah. And so now you're seeing the same thing happen in the legacy media.
Good point, Gabe.
Tucker Carlson's getting paid $35 million a year. Sean Hannity's getting paid $30 million a year. Don Lemon, I think, was about $10 million a year.
Still too much.
Still too much. All this legacy industry is administratively very expensive. Well, the way they were able to maintain that was they controlled the cable line.
Right, they had
they controlled
monopoly.
Right,
FCC. You had to buy a license. So I don't know what is it, $1 million to get a license to the Dallas market for FCC.
Right.
So you either had to buy the open air licenses to be public TV to go through the public TV channels, or you had to go on cable, and that's such a gatekeeper. Both gatekeepers. And then the internet comes along, and this is one of the reasons why I think Cross Politics is able to do so well since 2016, is because we're joking, but we aren't. None of us get paid. We're worth hundreds of dollars to Cross Politic right now. We don't get paid millions of dollars.
We're doing better than I thought.
we don't pay Gabe $10 million. We don't pay Knox $30 million. Toby's worth $35. I'm the Don Lemon here of the group.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I'm better than that.
I agree.
Okay, that's enough of that.
But the point is now you got these new media organizations. I think we're more trusted, even though we aren't viewed as much. We're growing in this era where the internet is allowing us to be able to communicate to the people. People come and download us.
Right.
It's not like you flip on the cable TV station and you're flipping through news. You're actually going and finding what you want to listen to. It's the Burger King have it your way kind of structure. And so you got a lot more loyal audience. And as you grow over time, I think what's going to happen in the next 20 years here in media is you're going to have legacy media start to go this way. I think it's already starting to happen. And you're going to have like this new kind of.
I think it's already.
It's already.
Happening. Look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan gets, he gets 10 million downloads an episode or something.
At least
the most downloads, and it's just him.
Right.
And so you're seeing a real opportunity here. We don't really talk very much about business at Cross Politic here on air. So you'll hear us laugh about it before we go on air. But one of the things that we're working to do over here with the Fight Laugh Feast Network is we want to grow in such a way where we're able to capitalize on the trend of legacy media falling and being a very bloated administrative organization and use the Uber technology that's presented to us to take over that market. I don't know if I've used this language with you, Toby, when we've been talking about this, but
because that's coming. I'm your pastor. That's
how? Yeah, I know.
Don't use that language with me.
What I mean by this. Listen, hear me out. The strategic nature of what a network is to culture and discipleship, I think Christians have not really seen this play. A lot of Christians will fund a Kirk Cameron movie, $3 million, $4 million, will invest into a Kirk Cameron movie or along those lines, and then the impact that movie has on culture and society is maybe 6 months to 18 months if you're lucky. Unless you do something like a seasonal thing like Saving Christmas. It'll come back every year, you know. But that's rare. And so a movie's impact on culture is very small, very short. It's not an evergreen process. But a network, over time, you're in families' houses, you know, from cartoons to sitcoms to family shows to nightly news. Every day. And this is why Fox, ABC, and CNN is such a powerful play, is because you're in everybody's house, you know, 12 hours a day, whatever it is, morning to evening, and you're there for 5 days a week, you know, for 40 years.
Discipleship.
The reason why
all of life.
The reason why Fox News or Tucker Carlson is able to get up to 5 million listeners tune in a night is because Fox has been working on that for 40 years.
You know, I got to say this real quick while I interject here. You got to remember, Tucker Carlson needed Fox.
At first.
That's right. At first, because he was Tucker. I remember Tucker at CNN.
Curveball.
I remember Tucker
was it Curveball
MSNBC.
with
I don't even remember the name of the show. I just remember seeing
I think it's Curveball with what's his name?
I don't know. I didn't watch CNN that much.
What's his name?
But anyway, so Tucker, when he came over to Fox, it was a really weird transition. I was like, isn't this guy semi-liberal? He's not really all there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, these monologues started coming that were just like, whoa, this guy's hitting hard. I enjoy it. So I just want to say that, you're right. He needed Fox to get to where he was, and he built something up. But after that, I think Tucker is that Napster that's like, okay, now it's breaking apart. And so here's the thing. So where does Tucker go? Because this is really interesting. After you leave Fox, he's already, the last show that he did, I think it was, or even last week, he did a show where he just brought it down on every major news network that supported the vaccines. I mean, he just hit them all.
Burned it down.
Yeah, he burned it down. He kind of wrapped Fox in that a little bit.
But he kind of also gave him a way out. He gave him a way out. He gave Fox a way out.
He gave him a way out. But if you were like watching this and you were one of the producers, you're like,
he used my pillow. He used Fox.
So he just but what he did was he made sure that he had nowhere else to go.
Okay.
And I don't know if he knew he was going to ever leave Fox or if he knew this. He probably felt like it was coming at one point or another because he was a little shy during the pandemic. He wasn't on that right away. He took his time and was slow building on the pandemic. I remember that because I was like, Tucker, you've been hitting hard. Where you at all of a sudden? But where does he move to now? Okay, Daily Wire and all the other guys that are kind of like second tier after that. You got Blaze, Daily Wire. What's the other one? Newsmax.
Fight Left Feet.
No. We're not on that list yet. I wish we were. But you have these second tier groups. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Epic News or whatever.
Epic News. None of those make any sense to me because those are already built. They get more money. They're just kind of
not even Rumble. Not even Rumble. That makes sense.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna go there in a second.
All right.
Rumble kind of makes sense to me because it's not a contender yet.
Yeah.
It's not a contender in any real way.
And if he can play a big role, that might be enticing.
Tucker going to already close to a legacy institution. He's going to be all right. That's not saying, hey, I got some real power here. I got some real authority. Watch me build some. What really makes sense to me is if he goes to Twitter and him and Elon Musk.
He just interviewed Elon.
Par together to make news. Look, Elon, let me just, if you haven't been paying attention, Elon Musk has taken and reestablished the institution of good journalism. He's just said, here's the people to listen to.
Right.
Here's going to do real good news.
Right.
And he's put his $40 billion behind it.
Right.
What's a couple more million with Tucker? Why not institute Tucker?
He can afford $30 million a year.
Why not institute Tucker as the #1 news guy on Twitter and have him have his own conglomerate of news guys that he supports and do what he was doing with Fox Nation on Twitter?
Yeah.
Elon did tweet out today. He said, we live in the most interesting times.
Look, that makes sense to me. Yeah. If Tucker was to par with Elon Musk and bring all of his talents, like what did LeBron James say? I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Like, if he took all of his talents to Twitter and Twitter were to move to Florida, come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
That
talk's all happening.
That is an interesting move because it's not when you have. It's one thing to have a platform. All these other platforms that I'm talking about need YouTube, need Facebook, need Twitter. They all need something else to provide for them to get out there. That was the whole fight with
the cable were the gatekeepers
with Stephen Crowder. That was the whole fight was over the platform of YouTube, right? Well, forget it.
Right.
Get the platform, the news, and build it on top of Twitter. And now who's going to stop you?
Yeah.
Right? Because but the only thing now, Gabe, this is where you brought in the article today, and I think you're right about, it's called the Restriction Act. What is it called?
This is the Restricting the Emergency Security Threats and that Risk Information and Communications Technology Act. They call it the Restrict Act, which is the acronym.
This is a federal act?
This is a federal act. So ultimately, this is a way for people to try and get at social media, right? This is for them to try and get at internet, control the internet.
And this is why they brought TikTok in last week or 2 weeks ago and drilled them real hard.
Well, and the other piece of this, of course, you guys saw AOC.
Yes.
Who was she getting interviewed by?
I can't remember.
But she said...
Oh, no, is the redhead Biden's former PR lady.
Oh, from MSNBC?
Yeah, what's her name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Man, I can't believe you just
the redhead.
I know.
You got it. Who is it? Psaki.
Jen Psaki.
Oh, Psaki.
Yeah. But she was saying, Tucker, she said there's no other way about it. Tucker is inciting violence.
Yeah.
Right.
So you put that together with a Restrict Act that says basically for the sake of safety.
Right.
I mean, remember, they tore down a statue of who was it in Virginia during the pandemic?
That was
a couple
Wasn't that
different
Stonewall
ones.
Jackson?
Stonewall Jackson?
Stonewall? Yeah.
I don't know. But,
One of the greats.
But it was because of public safety.
Yeah.
They had to tear down the statue.
Yep.
And they've already done this play with us with all the COVID crazy.
Well, and this act particularly is referencing foreign use of technology to penetrate into our country.
That's where it'll stop it.
But that's how TSA got.
But hear me out
together.
though. Hear me out.
Right.
Hear me out on. I'm sorry. You haven't.
He's got to add.
Well, I'm going to hear you out.
So hear me out on this though. Who is the one person who has their own satellites and doesn't need anybody?
Elon.
Okay, are you feeling me now?
Yeah.
Okay, are you feeling me now?
Yeah.
Are you with me?
I'm excited.
So you got Tucker Carlson, who's at the top of his game for news and reporting. He's got a squad. Okay, and now you got all these other guys that Elon has been saying, hey, Matt Taibbi and all these other folks who've been doing news and
well, and
journalism.
you know who's got all the advertisers?
Who?
Twitter.
What do you mean?
Twitter's got millions of dollars in advertising going through its system right now.
Right. But imagine how much.
Imagine how much money. I'm saying the business model's there.
They want to restrict the internet. They want to limit speech. They want to stop you from being on social media platforms. You have the platform with the guy who has his own ability to have internet,
with his own
satellites, and you have one of the top news guys of all time right now paired together with that.
Yeah.
That's where now, and when you make that grow, now you're saying something like, okay, to me, it looks like for me, it's like, okay, that's the play because that's self-sufficiency in every aspect.
Right.
No one gets to tell you no.
Right.
No one gets to tell you what you can't say, when you can say it. Where you can say it at. That is, if we're living in the new kind of techocracy, then that is its own government.
Then Elon is a king.
That's exactly right. And that's exactly right. And I can't understand for the life of me, TBN has their own satellites.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the old school big satellite?
Do you know how much money they've been asking for people to send their satellites so they can keep their own channel going? Like TV. And I'm thinking, like, that's stupid. Now I'm thinking about, like, maybe TBN was on something.
Getting their own satellite.
They got their own channel.
Make him an offer.
Making them.
TBN. I should.
Jesus is Lord in public and in private in every area of life. And so it must all be subject to his lordship. And our use of technology is no exception. What captures our attention on the screen either glorifies or dishonors our Lord. That's why accountable to you, that's the word accountable, the number 2, the word you, is committed to promoting biblical accountability in our families and churches. Their monitoring and reporting software makes transparency easy on all your devices so you can say with the psalmist, I will not set anything worthless before my eyes. So guard against temptation with accountable to you. That's the word accountable, the number 2, the word you. Live for God's glory. Learn more and try it for free today at accountable2you.com/FLF.
Pastor, how much time you got?
I got a few minutes left.
Okay.
We just ran out of time, didn't we?
I'll just say, I mean, we've said this before on the show before, like, and it's been, I don't think there's been a better time to be alive in the last 200 years in our country. The opportunity.
You said it's not a better time to be alive since last 200 years?
Last 200 years in our country. You fix my gate, please. Thank you.
Let him talk loud.
And part of it is because there is real evil and real battles going on in a way that has not been as clear as even the last 40 years. Right in the 80s and 90s, I mean, conservatives and Democrats can kind of get along together, sort of. The moral majority, Christians felt like they were winning in a lot of ways in the last 40 years. But we really have real battles before us and real evil before us. And that's what Tucker, and we never even got to this in the show, but Tucker was at the Heritage Foundation talking about this. Yeah. And then you think about like technology and what God is, and the opportunities that God has created through technology. I mean, imagine being alive when the Gutenberg press was invented, and then you could see that the mass production of Bibles could happen.
Right. Something
that you never would have dreamed of in the past, and it became a reality in the 1400s, 1300s, 1400s, 1300s, and the Gutenberg press all of a sudden gives the ability to print Bibles all over the place and to watch the gospel explode.
1450.
Yeah. And then in our case we call podcasting like Gutenberg 2.0. It's like we can release a podcast here in Moscow, Idaho, and it can go to Australia, China,
right.
Indonesia, all over the world with a click of a button. Way more efficient than printing a Bible in the Gutenberg press.
Right.
And so I think these next 40 years to me are really important and really exciting at the same time, where we can make a lot of damage happen because the gatekeepers don't have a hold on things like they used to.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
The Gutenberg press did the same thing.
Right.
Like the gatekeepers, the Roman Catholic Church, the papists, all that stuff, they lost all control.
Right.
And that was off of,
here we are.
Yeah, but everybody has their own Gutenberg press now.
Right.
That's the thing. Right. Like if you have a cell
which
phone,
comes with its problems.
Yeah, granted.
No, you start printing books, and immediately somebody started printing porn. Right. The thing I was thinking of, you texted me earlier. You said, "Okay, this is what we're talking about today," and the thing that I started thinking about was, there's a book by Nassim Taleb, who's kind of wacky in certain ways, and
COVID broke him,
and really cranky.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like one of these. My father-in-law used to have this saying where he would describe someone as a peak person. Peak people are really, really, really good at like one or two things, right. And then everything else is like they're horrible. Nassim Taleb is he's a quintessential peak person.
That's funny.
He wrote a book called Black Swan a few years ago.
I haven't read that one.
In which he describes this phenomenon that he's observed in history, where these various occurrences happen, seemingly random, seemingly out of the blue, and everybody right before the moment, nobody could see it. Everybody is just like, you can't see it, and then it like happens almost without notice. And then you have a whole bunch of people come along explaining how it had to happen. It was inevitable. And here are all the signs.
Nobody saw
here are all the
it.
signs, but nobody could see it. And he describes it as Black Swan. And I think one of the examples, I don't know if this is an example he gave or one that someone else gave that I remember with this theme, is like the fall of like the end of the Cold War and the fall of communism, for example, is one of those things where I think living through the 1980s, growing up in the 1980s, you like there's communism and it's this iron curtain and it's just formidable. And there just seems impossible to break. Nothing will break it apart. And all the Soviet Union and all their satellites and all the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, like within like over a course of months, the whole thing just comes crashing down. Berlin Wall comes down, Soviet Union breaks apart into all these pieces. And then afterwards, everybody's like, oh yeah. Actually, you can see how it was happening in the early 80s. Khrushchev and all this
Monday morning quarterback becomes really clear.
But I think we need to remember that we serve the God of black swans. And so I was thinking about this, just like there's certain things that probably you could see coming with Tucker and Fox, or things maybe with even Don Lemon and CNN. Or
he was pretty easy to read.
When everybody saw that one coming.
Don Bongina. All these things, but I guess just broader, like Elon buying Twitter.
Okay, that was weird.
But there's all these things that happen that are enormous and monumental and really have world-changing significance. And you're talking about the internet and Gutenberg press. And who would have thought in 1499 that the Reformation would actually break up the papal
Right.
monopoly,
Right,
which is
right.
that was the
cable channels.
That was the church's Napster moment, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what was happened over and over again is that we serve the God of reformation and revival. We serve the God of black swans. We serve the God of resurrection. I mean, that's
the black swan
That's the
moment,
greatest.
yeah.
Easter is the greatest black swan ever.
That's good.
And of course, Jesus on Easter morning is unrecognizable to two disciples walking to Emmaus because they can't see it. And he says, but isn't this what the Old Testament said had to happen? Didn't the Messiah have to suffer before he enters into his glory? And it's only after he does this in-depth Bible study with them through the Old Testament and then breaks bread with them that their eyes are finally open and they recognize that the resurrected Jesus is right in front of them.
Typical men when they see food and they can finally think.
That's
they
funny.
can finally think.
Fair point. Also the Holy Spirit. But yes.
Yeah.
But this is how God does things. And before it happens, we have a bad habit of not seeing it. We can't see it. Can't see it. But it's there. And God's at work. And so this is, I think, really a moment. I think this is what you're getting at, Gabe, in terms of like the opportunities of living in this moment. You've got, I think we've talked about this quite a bit the last couple of weeks, but there's a certain, the whole neo-Marxist woke agenda is trying to make you terrified. It wants to make you scared. It wants you to live by fear. And so it wants to throw you into this daycare gone completely native.
Mm-hmm.
And it loves the talking heads screaming at each other. It loves the cacophony, the chaos. It wants the drag queens to scare you. It wants the twerking pride parades to terrify you and make you scared and angry to join the mob. Yeah. And just be one more voice in
one more screeching
voice, one more paranoid, terrified voice. And so there's this temptation to say, isn't this the blackest moment ever? Isn't this the darkest moment ever? And it's like, but Elon's got, satellites all over the world doing internet. And we're talking about Jesus and the resurrection, and it's going everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And the gospel's being piped into more countries than ever.
Right.
And then things like this happen. God just set Tucker free.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's as far as that's what I see it.
Yeah.
And wherever he lands, he's only going to be more free.
Be free with us, Tucker.
I don't know if I want to come over here.
But I think you've got guys like Joe Rogan telling the truth. Like what Joe Rogan? He's doing more truth than any of the legacy news stations now. Elon Musk also helping the truth get out there.
I mean, I never thought Balaam's ass would have a podcast.
But here we go.
There we go. But again, we serve the God of black swans.
Yeah.
We serve the God of resurrection. And Christians really need to be thinking like, okay, Jesus is king. He reigns and rules, and everything serves him. Okay, when it gets this dark out, you need to be thinking like a Christian and be thinking, okay, I'm going to be busy at my post. I'm going to be loving my wife. I'm going to be respecting my husband. I'm going to raising my children. I'm going to be busy at the Christian school. I'm busy in my Christian business. I'm busy doing these things. They're trying to distract you.
That's right.
They're trying to freak you out, make you panic, and then make you throw down your weapons and run around, with your hair lit on fire.
Yep.
But you need to say, no, I'm not going to budge. Jesus owns this place. He bought it with his blood. And I have a family to love and serve. I have a business to build. I have people to bless. I have a church to serve. I have a community to love and serve. I mean, if you don't move, they don't got you. If you don't budge, and then meanwhile, God does these things. He's throwing knuckleballs at our culture and saying, "Watch this." The modern papal estates of the established media or the hardcore leftist politicians, and God says, watch this. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna flip over Roe versus Wade.
I know. In the middle of all this,
with a liberal Presbyterian Roman Catholic Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, that's right.
Watch this.
Yeah.
That's right.
And let me tell you how it happened. So, hey, if you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.
A lot of parents are waking up to the problems of the current American educational system. And when the Department of Education can't determine what a boy is or what a girl is, why in the world would any sane parent trust them with a math curriculum? We are regular Christian parents who found ourselves with children to educate, and we found that the options available usually fell into two categories. Either the education was good, but was lacking in the Christian department, or the Christian part was solid and the education was lacking. So we got a group of parents together and said, why not? Let's start Classical Christian School.
When I was first approached with doing the school, being a teacher as well as having my son be a student, I wasn't looking for anything different, and this came along, and it has been just such an answer to prayer of little things that we didn't realize that the school would then give to our son that we didn't know we were needing. And there were just a lot of benefits to coming to school. The programs that people could offer, some of the areas where I'm not the strongest in, some teachers were able to do it. And then they asked if I would be interested in helping to teach, and I jumped on board.
I began very skeptical, if I'm being honest. There have been a few days where, especially in the beginning, I wondered if I made the right choice. But it is the relationship and the fellowship that is fostered here that has taken away any of my hesitation or my fears.
If you're trying to decide, is school right for my child? Is staying home? And, I like that this kind of gives you a feel of both of those things. Like, I still feel in charge and in control of my son's education. But I also know that maybe science is not the best thing that I can teach him. His science teacher comes in and can just help take that load from me and be able to help him. And it's been great.
We want to be the tool to help you achieve what we believe is the most important job in the world, training up your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
They may be future pastors. They may be future politicians. They may just be a dad. They may be a mom. We don't know what the Lord's called them to. And the fact that I get the honor of being able to be a part of that journey and their education.
It feels perfect for right now because I'm watching my son love to learn. And I get that it feels like a risk to step out of what society says is normal, because the normal thing is you put your kindergartner in school 5 days a week, 8 to 3, every day for the rest of their lives, and that's what you're supposed to do. But then you end up with an 18-year-old that you barely know, who hates every bit of school, who barely knows what they want to do with their future. And to be able to be a part of this, it's like I'm watching a dream that I didn't even really know was a dream kind of unfold.
Our students love being here. Our teachers are excited. They are committed, and they are here for the long haul. They're here because they believe in the mission.
You have to decide what's most important to you. And what was most important to me is surrounding myself and my son with like-minded people who were ready to go to battle, because that's what we're doing.